Yo, America, planet Earth, what's good? This is your boy Codell, and welcome back to another episode of the Father's Gospel Podcast. We've got a crazy episode today. So, we've got a father in Seattle that is facing 10 years in prison for simply showing his son a documentary called What is a Woman? And also taking the stand against COVID vaccines and refusing to wear a mask. So, yeah, they're trying to throw this dad in jail for 10 years for doing this, and they're not allowing him to see his son. It's crazy. So let's get into this article, okay? So here's what it says. In a controversial legal case emerging from Seattle, a father faces potential imprisonment for a decade due to his beliefs that diverge from what is considered mainstream in the area. This case has garnered significant attention, particularly because it involves his opposition to vaccine mandates and his decision to expose his son to the film What is a Woman, directed by Matt Walsh. Now, if you don't know what a woman is, basically Matt Walsh goes around to all these liberal events, asks them to define what a woman is, because as I'm sure most of you know, there's this crazy idea amongst the liberal community that a woman cannot be defined by her biological sense. But for those of us that have common sense, we know that's nonsense. Anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yeah, directed by Matt Walsh. Now, the legal proceedings have sparked debates around parental rights, free speech, and the implications of differing ideological perspectives in today's society. The father identified in discussions surrounding the case is being accused of stalking for simply engaging in what he believes to be responsible parenting by showing his son a film that discusses gender identity and societal norms. He has come under fire for purportedly promoting views that are at odds with Seattle's predominant cultural viewpoints. And this raises critical questions about the extent of parental rights, especially in a climate where differing opinions on health and education can lead to legal repercussions. Now, I will say this: Washington is an absolute shit show when it comes to parental rights. It's especially bad for dads out here. If you don't believe me, look it up. Washington's ranked 43rd in the nation for fathers' parental rights, and but it's bad for moms as well. Okay, so Seattle, known for its progressive stance on various social issues, appears to be at the center of a burgeoning conflict between traditional parental values and contemporary ideologies. The father's case illustrates how individuals can be penalized for exercising their beliefs, especially when those beliefs oppose widely accepted norms such as vaccine mandates. This has led to discussions on whether the legal system is being used to suppress dissenting viewpoints and if it threatens individual liberties. The situation reflects a broader trend in society where people are increasingly facing backlash for their beliefs, and the implications of this case extend beyond the individual, touching on issues of freedom of speech and the rights of parents to guide their children's education and worldview. Supporters of the father argue that he is merely exercising his rights to express his opinions and educate his son according to his values, while opponents contend that his beliefs could pose risks to public health and societal cohesion. Absolutely crazy. Now, in the era of social media, cases like this often gain momentum online, prompting widespread discussion and mobilization among various groups. The hashtag associated with the father's case is hashtag Benshoff, who has become a rallying point for those who see this as a critical moment for parental rights and freedom of expression. Activists and commentators are using platforms like Twitter to voice their concerns, with figures such as Robert Barnes highlighting the potential dangers of allowing the government to dictate acceptable beliefs and parenting methods. As the legal proceedings unfold, the case serves as a litmus test for the balance between state authority and personal freedoms. It also raises essential questions about how society navigates differing viewpoints, especially in volatile areas like public health and education. Ultimately, the outcome may set a precedent that could have far-reaching implications for parental rights and the broader discourse on individual freedoms in the United States. In conclusion, the Seattle case is more than just a legal battle. It is a reflection on the cultural wars currently shaping society as discussions around vaccine mandates, parental rights, and ideological diversity continues to evolve. The implications of this case will resonate far beyond the courtroom, influencing future debates on freedom of expression and the role of government in personal beliefs. So yeah, this case is crazy. Now, Robert Barnes, he is actually a former attorney for President Trump. And he he's why I came across this case. So I was listening to Robert Barnes on an interview on InfoWars, Alex Jones show. And he wasn't even talking about this case, but he briefly brought it up at the end of the interview. And it immediately caught my attention because, one, I'm a father and my case isn't as extreme as this dad's case, but my case is very similar to this dad. I have a temporary parenting order in place right now that says I can't be around my son unless I take the COVID vaccine, wear a mask, take the PCR test. It also says I can't talk about my political beliefs. And yeah, so it's just like this case really resonates with me. But this is what Matt Barnes tweeted out. He said, a frightening case in Seattle as they seek to imprison a man for a decade because his wife, because his beliefs were outside the Seattle mainstream for opposing vaccine mandates and showing his son the Matt Walsh blog film, What is a Woman? Him going to court for his son is now stalking hashtag Benshoff. So, yeah, and it's crazy because I know most of you don't know this, but a couple years ago, it's been about 1 or 2 years ago. I want to say 2 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer. They passed this coercive control law out here in Washington, and you now can be charged for stalking, for going to court just to fight for your kid. And you can also get charged for harassment and stalking for committing suicide. And I'm not lying when I say that. Like, you can look it up. The coercive control laws out here in Washington are insane, completely illegal, completely unconstitutional. But yeah, so this dad, Kurt Benshoff, man, 10 years they're trying to throw him in jail for. Okay, so I read this article, made me want to do a little bit more digging. I'm like, all right, who's the judge involved in this case? Because obviously this judge is freaking crazy, right? So Kurt, the dad, he has now filed his case with the United States Supreme Court, and it is him versus the city of Seattle, David S. Keenan, and Jessica R. Owen. Now, I'm not going to get into her, but I am going to get into David S. Keenan. David S. Keenan is the judge in this case against this father, Mr. Benshoff. All right. Now, I looked up David S. Keenan, did a quick internet search, and it took me 2 seconds to find out that this dude is woke, super wokety woke. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So listen to this. You don't even have to get far into this. Judge David Keenan. Well, I'm going to skip that. Here it goes. Let's see. Okay. So Judge Keenan has served in and around the law for nearly 30 years in many capacities since entering judicial service. Judge Keenan has served as a Racial Justice Institute Fellow at the Shriver Center on Poverty Law, on the Washington Supreme Court's Access to Justice Board, and on the board of Choose 180. So, yeah, and he's also a member of National Association of Women Judges Ensuring Racial Equity Committee. So, yeah, this guy is really woke, right? Now, I didn't look all this up, but I did look up. I was like, okay, Racial Justice Institute Fellow at the Shriver Center on Poverty Law. As soon as I see racial justice, that's an automatic red flag for some, super far left woke insanity, right? So I looked them up, and it didn't take long. I found them, and they are definitely super woke. So this is their official website, Shriver Center on Poverty Law. And this is what they have to say right on the front page. It says, it is more important than ever for advocates for race equity to understand and address issues of race, implicit bias, and how to affirmatively advance racial equity. The Racial Justice Institute is a groundbreaking national leadership program grounded in a commitment to race equity as an integral and essential part of anti-poverty advocacy. Following 7 months of intensive training, fellows join a national network of alumni who are advancing race equity all throughout this country. Read more about the history of the program. We will not be reading more about the history, but obviously super woke, right? So, I scrolled down a little bit more, see who's maybe heading it. So I came across this attorney, Monica Yvonne. She is the director of training justice. Her pronouns are she, her. So she at least knows that she is a woman. So, I mean, she looks like woman. But what's interesting about this woman is she is also, if I remember correctly, she's heavily involved with the Washington State Bar Association for attorneys out here. And she's also heavily involved with the Democratic Party, which makes sense. So, I'm not going to get into her more than that in this episode, but I just kind of wanted to point that out. We'll definitely be highlighting her in some future episodes. So, yeah, with all that said, we got Judge David Keenan, right? He's on this dad's case. Once again, is on Kurt Benshoff's case, all right? There is no way that this Judge Keenan can rule fairly in this father's case. They are complete opposites when it comes to the way they view the world. So, again, this father, he doesn't believe in the COVID vaccine mandates. He didn't believe in the masks. He showed his son what is a woman, and they're literally using all this openly against him in court and threatening him with 10 years in prison. So this is a huge story, guys. This is going on here in our own backyard in Washington State. And this is just one of a million examples of just how corrupt and morally bankrupt our family courts are. But not just here in Washington, around the whole entire nation, and how dire the situation actually is. We have to clean out this corruption. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. Please make sure you share this video and help spread this information. We need to do our part to get this father's case out there. We need to help get this father's case in the people's consciousness. People need to know that Washington State is trying to throw a dad in jail for 10 years, and they are not allowing they are keeping him from seeing his son simply because they don't agree with the way he views the world. So, yeah. Anyways, again, that's what I got for y'all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell, you guys. That's really important. When you hit that notification bell, every time I put out a video, you guys get notified. That way you can help me spread this information quicker, and we can all work together to do our part to bring awareness to just how bad the family courts are. And the more aware people become of just how bad the courts are, the quicker we can change this system and drain this nasty swamp. Anyways, I'm Codell. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I love y'all. And more importantly, God loves you. Until next episode, I'm out. Peace.